So we really liked Fes, and we spent about 3 days, 3 nights there.
Yeah, we spent 3 nights there, and to get there, we were a little more adventurous this time. We took the train from Tangier, and we bought first-class tickets. We weren't really sure what to expect when we get on. We found a cabin, and we really had nowhere to put our luggage. So we ended up taking our luggage into the cabin. We tried to put it on the racks above, but it didn't work. In the end, it was good because we had to share our cabin with only one other person. There were 6 seats, and we actually had kind of an interesting experience on the train to Fez in that we met somebody who was quite helpful, who maybe had his own interests in mind as well.
Definitely did, or at least we think we did. He did.
Yeah, he helped us arrange a taxi from the train station. He helped us arrange a guide the next day. It was almost too good to be true, and in the end it was. We didn't pay the prices that he was advertising at first, but we were happy we did it. We used the guide to help us explore the Fez Medina the next day. He took us around. He told us some of the history of the Medina. He showed us how to navigate ourselves. There was a bit of a sales pitch involved. We got to see some nice carpets. We got to disappoint the salesman by not buying those carpets. But overall, we're sort of happy with how we set ourselves up in Fez.
Yeah, and I think no matter when you visit Fez, you're going to think that you're getting a bit scammed, but that's part of the fun, and it's relatively cheap when you keep things in perspective. So it's a good way to meet the locals.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So we arrived pretty late into Fez after taking the train in, and it was getting dark by the time we decided to explore the Medina, searching for some food and groceries. And it was quite intimidating as we walked through those dark alleys, and there were some teenage boys who were trying to help us, but we were on guard and kept refusing to listen to them. And of course there was no supermarkets, and we just went home and had pasta and butter.
Yeah, and we gradually grew more accustomed to the Medina, more comfortable in it, and in the end I would say that we loved it.
We did. I really liked the Medina, and I felt safe, and that's something we were intimidated by the first night, about being robbed, who we'd meet at the alleys. But we walked home one night at 11 nearly in the night, and there were kids, just young kids running around playing, kicking a ball. There were girls just walking down, and just teenage girls hanging out, and everything is definitely very safe, and I don't think we were lucky. I think that's just a normal way of life, especially in the part of the Medina where we stayed at.
Yeah, and in addition to the things you might expect to find, fruit stalls, meat stalls, antique shops,
lamps,
tourist shops, there were also quite a few great restaurants in the Medina, and we discovered that after doing some research. Admittedly, we used TripAdvisor to help guide us in the right direction. We went to Cafe Clock one afternoon for lunch and found quite a few tourists there. They had free Wi-Fi. We found tourists on their laptops getting caught up on work. And then in the evening one night we went to a place called, and it's very hard to pronounce, I don't know if I am getting it right, Riyadh Rcif. It's RCIF. And it was, I think, number 2 on TripAdvisor at the time, and it turned out to be an amazing restaurant. Like any other Riyadh, you walk in, there are tables at the bottom, there's a center of the building that goes right up to the roof, and we had to walk up 3 flights of stairs to get there. It was an intimate setting. They only had room for maybe about 30 people, and what seemed to be the owner was there, and he was definitely very attentive of the guests that were eating there that night. The food that they brought out was incredible.
And the view. We timed it with sunset, so we got to see the sunset over the Medina and hear the call to prayer.
Yeah, and maybe the best part about the restaurant was actually finding it. It was in a very difficult location to find in the Medina. We used GPS, admittedly, to get there, but I was very proud of myself when we managed to find our way back to our apartment after dinner, which was around 10:30. So
yeah, and one thing we should mention is that Google Maps definitely did work, and a lot of people told us it doesn't work, and we ate guides the whole time we were there, and that was not the case.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. There are times where you might get into an alley where it doesn't work, but for the most part, if you back up, you'll probably get your map back.
So for the most part, we fell in love with the Medina and really liked exploring it. The kids loved running around. It was the first time that they have just let loose for a whole day and did not ask for a stroller. Like, I was pretty impressed.
It was amazing.
Yeah. How many steps did we clock in that night?
I think we walked almost 5 kilometers one day with the kid.
With them, yeah. So, but there is a life outside the Medina, and we had to venture out to get groceries because the main supermarket is outside the Medina, and that's kind of where we're comfortable shopping for everyday supplies. And getting there and back was, we decided to walk one day, which was really hot and hard to do, but another day we took taxis, right?
Yeah, we did that once. We walked in the heat, almost to say we did it, but we figured if we were going to be able to get around Fes with any sort of regularity, we needed to use taxis. So we started to talk to some of the cab drivers and found out that they would only take 3 people. So even with 2 small kids, it was not something that they were mainly willing to do, I guess, because they can get a fine if they're found. So we were kind of at the whim of the taxi drivers. We did get lucky a couple times. One time we were standing on the road and one of the bigger taxis that are quite rare drove by and picked us up. Another time we were outside of the Carrefour with a bunch of groceries, and one of the smaller taxi drivers basically took pity on us and brought us home. The taxis were actually quite cheap, 10 to 20 dirhams each, and that was kind of our price. Yeah. Maybe it was even cheaper for locals. Although to get to the train station, we paid 50 because we needed a bigger car, and taking a taxi from the train station, you're liable to run into sort of a gang of taxi drivers that are looking to charge you quite a bit. Yeah.
So for us, Fes really, like, that's where our heart is in Morocco. I think we are city people, and we have been to Marrakesh at this point, but Fes is our favorite. And I think it's just the smaller city vibe. It was easy to navigate, and for us it seems like the people were friendlier and just a lot more casual, laid-back atmosphere. So we definitely think if you're coming to Morocco, you should explore Fes and put that on your list of places to visit. It is a bit of a gem.
Yeah, I got the sense the residents of Fes were very proud of their city, and it's reflected in the way they treat people. So it's an amazing place.